Hello, everybody. This is Joseph Pasek, and welcome to the 12-Ounce Sports Network. Welcome to Fired Up Live. We'll be back in 2 seconds.
You are watching the flagship show on the Fired Up Network. Let's all get fired up on Fired Up Live.
All right, I'm fired up. And with me is the broadcasting legend, Norm Rumack. Norm, I want you to speak. I'm fired up all different ways, and I'm going to talk about it right now. All right, Norm, tell me, all right, when I told you about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, what is Vlad Guerrero going to do?
Well, he told me he's going to sign on for $5 million or something like that. I don't
500
remember.
million.
500. Yeah.
And today he signs on a 14-year deal, $500 million. Do you see any credit given to the Fired Up Network or 12-Ounce Sports? The answer is no. All right, that's number one. And by the way, for all the Canadian fans, $500 million US. I spoke to Mr. Red, Donald Trump, since I'm the president of the province of Canada, mayor-elect of North America. He told me it is 712 million Canadian. That's number one. And April 7th, they announced it. By the way, Blue Jays started their Major League Baseball career as a team, Exhibition Stadium snowstorm, April 7th, 1977. That's number one. All right? That's number one. Norm, you and Tracy Murray were on here Thursday. You picked Florida and who?
Yeah.
You don't remember who you picked, do you?
No, I picked Duke.
Yeah. And what did I pick? Florida and Houston, because Houston, the game is going to be played in San Antonio. It will be a great story and everything like that. Again, I'm right. No credit, no nothing. Secondly, I went with the upset and NCAA women. All right. And Connecticut won. Again, I won. Nobody credits me. So, Norm, it's about time that you come out and you give credit to the president of provinces of Canada. I'm waiting.
Well, big congratulations, Joe.
Norm, you got to owe me more than that. Like we bet $100. Come on.
Yeah, $100. Yeah, I'll plan.
12-ounce sports chef who could get me, $100 American, which is like Canadian, like $45.
Yeah, we'll give you a parade, Joe. How's that?
All right, Norm, don't start. I'm in a great mood today. I'm in a great mood. It's April 7th, and we go back 1977, snowstorm, and the Blue Jays beat the Chicago White Sox 9-5, dugout home run. Norm, were you at Exhibition Stadium then?
No, I watched it on TV.
And what did you think of the snow of Major League Baseball coming to Toronto?
What did I think of the snow or the baseball?
All of it. Snow, baseball, everything.
Well, snow is part of the weather here. What's the big deal? It's funny. The guys were snowshoeing on the surface, on the playing surface. Yeah, so it was pretty funny. I actually added to the entertainment. Everybody liked it. So good for the snow. We should get snow more often. I don't think we get enough snow.
Not in April, all right? Not in April. We were snowed in the whole February and March. Not in April. Don't start with me just because you're wearing a tank top.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's get first of all to the Blue Jays. They started the year not bad, 5-2. Then they go to the New York Mets, and they get swept. Now they're 5-5. Their bats are sleeping like your tank top there. Vlad Guerrero signs a 14-year, $500 million deal, and he has done nothing so far. They have another pending free agent, Bo Bichette. What are they going to sign him? Are they going to give him $350 million, $400 million? I guess, Norm, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Norm? Norm is, I don't think he can hear me. So hopefully Norm, I knew it. He's out, but he'll hopefully be back here in a couple seconds. Again, the big news in Toronto and Major League Baseball, Vlad Guerrero signing a 14-year, $500 million deal to stay on with the Toronto Blue Jays. Give me your thoughts. Norm's back. Give me your thoughts on that 14-year, $500 million deal from Vlad Guerrero.
Well, they had to sign him for big money. They need someone someone who's a drawing card for fans. So they have to sign somebody big, and he's their biggest name player. So they did what they had to do, because otherwise, he ends up going somewhere else. So who have they got that's a magnet for fans? I said it's going to be
with the contract then.
What's that?
You agree with the contract?
Yeah, I mean, everybody is making crazy money in professional sports. So what's the difference? It's not like Rogers is lacking money. I don't feel for him. I'm Toronto born and raised. I grew up as a big Leafs fan and a fan of the Blue Jays. But at this stage of life, I just want to see good entertainment. I don't really care who wins or loses. It's not a big deal for me. And from a business point of view, the Blue Jays have to have some kind of guy that people will pay money to see. So he's their leading guy that way. So in that sense, it's financially smart. And as far as money, it's Rogers. They're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. What don't they own in Canada? So it's like, who's going to sweat it in terms of how much money they pay? Who cares?
So
who cares how much money they pay?
I'm just going to say this. Rogers just signed Vlad Guerrero 14 years, $500 million. They also just signed a 12-year deal worth $7.7 billion with the National Hockey League. So if you take $500 million and $7.7 billion, you have the salary of Norm Runak here on 12-ounce sports. And we just mentioned that there's another free agent, Bo Bichette. So in your eyes, are they going to keep Bo Bichette and pay him, or is he going to go to free agency and most likely another team?
No, they'll probably sign him too.
What would you say? What would you pay him?
I don't know. Maybe you pay him $300. What's the difference, Joe? With I think these discussions about how much money
there's no limits, because coming in September,
there's no limits. There's
not a part of MLSE.
Pay him $500 billion. What's the difference? It's Rogers Communications. Like, what are they like? Why does anybody care how much they pay him? Like, why is that even an issue?
The ticket prices and the price of hot
dogs.
Oh,
if the ticket prices are an issue, then don't go to the ball game. Watch it on TV.
Go to the ball game. I'm talking about your friend EC, who has season tickets for everything and doesn't have a job.
Yeah, well, that's for him to deal with, not for me. I don't care.
All right.
I mean, wish him well. I hope he gets a job, but it's like, if he wants to spend money on tickets, good for him.
All right. So there's nothing else you want to add about the Toronto Blue Jays, correct?
No, I just I hope my prediction, my excitement of baseball is that my prediction will be right. Anything else I don't really care about.
What was your prediction anyways? That
the AL East will be the tightest race that they've ever had. And right now, actually, Joe, how tight is the race in the AL East? How much space is there between?
We have played 10 games out of 100.
Yeah, well, you were the one who was all excited about the opening.
I'm not excited. I'm actually pissed. I'm pissed that you don't come dressed up for the occasion. I'm pissed that Vlad Guerrero makes $500 million, which is $712 million Canadian. I'm pissed that they gave $7.7 billion to the National Hockey League. I'm just pissed. I'm fired up.
No, you're pissed.
No, I just took one. Never mind. Let's talk now. Forget Major League Baseball. Let's talk about the National Hockey League. All right?
Yeah.
So over the weekend, you know what happened in the National Hockey League? Over the weekend, Alexander Ovechkin beat one of the greatest records. He even went on air and said, there's no way I'm going to beat Gretzky's record back 20 years ago. He beat it. Gretzky was very classy and all that. For the people who I see in social media, first of all, you're not supposed to be on any other social media but the Fired Up Network and 12-ounce sports. That's number one. Number two, Canadians, I don't like that record. He's not Canadian. He's Russian. If there's ever a Russian who plays a Canadian game It's Alexander Ovechkin. And it doesn't matter if he's Russian, Swahili, Jewish, Chinese, whoever. He broke a record. He broke a record, and he should be honored. Norm, you take it.
I don't know of anybody who objected to him being Russian.
Yes,
I haven't heard such a thing.
Named Harvey.
Who?
Yeah, named
Who?
Harvey. Your friend, your accountant, Harvey.
Well, who cares?
Harvey from
He's not my
Canada.
accountant. He's not my accountant.
He isn't? Since when?
No, he isn't.
All
Pardon
right.
me?
Since when? Anyways, but what do you think of the feat?
It's a massive achievement. He's got an incredible slap shot. He's great for the National Hockey League. Nobody cares that he's Russian. Nobody cares about. I haven't heard anything ever being raised actually in the last 30 years about anybody caring about anybody's nationality in the National Hockey League. All they care about is, do they play well and do they help their respective team? National Hockey League is growing. You got players from all over the world now. It's an international game. It's not on the level of basketball or footy or soccer, if you prefer. But yeah, the National Hockey League is an international game. And, when the Maple Leafs started with Swedish players in the early 1970s, like Börje Salming and Inge Hammarström, I didn't care where they're from. I just enjoyed watching them play. Salming especially became a superstar. God rest his soul. He passed away a year and a half, 2 years ago. But, nobody cares about their nationality. We celebrate what they do in their uniform, and the same applies to Alex Ovechkin. So, I haven't heard anybody object to his nationality. Good for him. It's a great achievement. He's healthy enough and strong enough. He can play several more years. And I don't know if there's any more records he can break that are achievable in terms of Wayne Gretzky. I don't think so, because he'd have to get like 1,000 points or something like that, or another 1,000 points, more than that. But the goal scoring record is massive. And like I say, the next record that'll probably be unachievable might be the one that Alex Ovechkin sets for goals scored, because he looks like he can score another 20 or 30 each year for the next several years. So I think it's a tremendous achievement by Alex Ovechkin.
It is a tremendous achievement. And let's get to the National Hockey League. And again, as I predicted, and Norm, it's coming up like this. Everybody thinks that the first round of the playoffs in the Atlantic Division, I'm going to start with them, is going to be a battle of Florida and a battle of Ontario. Toronto, Ottawa, Tampa against Florida. Okay? But Ottawa has kept on going and winning big games. Florida, they're dismantled. All their good players are gone, and most likely they will not play till the playoffs. So Paul Maurice, a former Maple Leaf coach, said, we have Maple Leafs number. Maybe we should, I'm going to use an NBA word, maybe tank, maybe not play our hardest. We're missing like 6 guys or 6 of our top guys. It's not the worst thing if we play the Maple Leafs. Ottawa has a game in hand, and they're 2 points behind Florida. I think it's going to be the Maple Leafs in Florida and Ottawa and Tampa. What do you say?
Well, I don't know. We'll find out when the season's over. I don't think the Florida Panthers are sweating about who they play. They are the Stanley Cup champions. When they get all those players back, and they will all be back, we anticipate for the playoffs, they're going to be very hard to deal with for anybody, not just the Maple Leafs. I wouldn't say they have the Maple Leafs number. I mean, they beat them in the playoffs a couple of years ago, but I wouldn't say that they have their number. I would anticipate if Toronto plays Florida, it'll be a tough series. I would probably be inclined to give Florida a slight edge and pick them in 7. But it's a series that could go either way. Toronto's improved defensively. They're a little grittier. I don't mean fighting so much, but in terms of physical, finishing checks and whatnot. And maybe this is the year they get over their playoff hangups and advance past more than 1 or 2 rounds. They got to the second round a couple of years ago, and it was Florida who beat them, of course. But I think Toronto's capable of. Do I think of advancing? But does that mean they will? No, it doesn't. But it would make for a great series. I think Ottawa would be a scary series for Toronto, actually. because they played quite well against the Maple Leafs. The Ottawa Senators have, and the other Kachuk, Brady, is also an intimidating player. He's strong, skilled, fast. He's fearless, all that kind of stuff. Everything you want in a hockey player, a classic power forward. So I think Ottawa as an opponent would be almost as scary, so to speak, on paper as the Florida Panthers would. So either way, you're looking, Battle of Ontario or, Battle of Toronto and Florida. You're looking at two potentially, if you're a neutral, great series, and one that either team could win. So I say bring it on either way, Florida or Ottawa.
By the way, remember, Florida made a trade for the Maple Leafs pest over the years, Brad Marchand. So we're right when every Maple Leaf fan, thank God, we're going to play Ottawa. We have something over Ottawa where they never beat us, and we played them 2003, 2002, and all this. Now they're going to play the pest, Brad Marchand. All right, so there it is. But I digress. What I want to talk about is in the West. What a first round series this is going to be. Dallas and Colorado. Wow. What do you say, Norm?
Yeah, well, all the series out west. How about St. Louis? They're the best team in terms of their winning record lately. They are the scariest team in the Western Conference. The way they've been playing, they set a club record. What was it, 14? Am I right?
Yeah, 14 in a row.
14 in a row. So St. Louis Blues, who were Stanley Cup winners in 2019.
And Craig Berube was the head coach of the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, that's right. But that St. Louis team is one to watch out for. So is Dallas. So is Colorado. So is Los Angeles. Los Angeles has only lost, 2 games at home, I believe.
Yep.
So there's a lot of scary teams in the West.
Los Angeles playing their nemesis, Edmonton, who has beat them 3 years in a row. And this year it's different because right now, on April 7th, Los Angeles will have home advantage. The last 3 years, Edmonton had home advantage. Anyways, that's another series that's probably great there. And, St. Louis, Minnesota are sort of home and cooled up with the wild card positions and all that. If you're Winnipeg, do you want to play St. Louis? You probably want to, because Winnipeg's number 1 seed. So you probably play Minnesota, but that's not any greater thing because Minnesota's playing great lately. So the NHL playoffs, first round of playoffs, are going to be fantastic. All right, Norm, I digress from NHL. Let's talk about one of your favorite sports tonight, the finals of the NCAA tournament. Norm, are you excited for that? Because myself, I'm going to watch Raw. We're 2 weeks away from WrestleMania. By the way, I have an announcement. All right? WrestleMania, April 19th and 20th. We're going to get a lot of celebrities here on 12-Ounce Sports Network, Fired Up Network. The only place we're going to get a lot of celebrities. You saw Zania, who has 438,000 followers. We're going to bring in Aaron Stevens, who has at least 500,000 followers. The Cat, Ernest Miller, by the way, you could hear and see on 12-Ounce Sports Network, Fired Up Network. Every Wednesday, we're going to bring him on. And I'm not saying the name, Norm, but his gimmick is you can't see him. All right? Well, I'm going to try to bring him on. Big week next week for the viewers of Fired Up and 12-Ounce Sports. All right. And by the way, as I did the intro at the beginning, you can get tickets for any sporting event, any entertainment event, anything by visiting.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12-Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them. Yeah. Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Basically, go to 12ouncesports.com, get your tickets for any event, concerts, sporting tickets. I know that Norm, that cheapskate, I gave him another option to go and get tickets to watch Florida and the Maple Leafs, or Ottawa and the Maple Leafs. Norm, you're going to use 12ouncesports.com, right?
I don't go to many games, Joe. I watch them on TV, but if I needed tickets, I would certainly go and check out what kind of ticket prices are available, and good for them. There's enough demand for tickets all over the world that if they can provide them, then that's a good option. So yeah, if I needed to travel overseas and try and get tickets, I would certainly go through 12 Ounce Sports. Or if I was going to a big game in the United States, I would check out their prices, and for sure, I'd consider that a strong option, definitely.
All right, so let's get back to the NCAA men's basketball tournament final in San Antonio tonight, beginning at 8:50 p.m. Number 1 seed Florida versus number 1 seed Houston. Florida is favored by 1.5 points. What tells me this is going to be a very close game. Who do you like in this one, Norm?
And Florida and Houston. I'm going to give a slight edge to Florida. They played some tough games and got through them. So, they had won back-to-back championships more than a decade ago. So they've got a little bit of that DNA we talked about. We thought that would work for Duke. Didn't quite work. They lost it in the last couple of minutes, but that can happen with any team in any game. So I'll give Florida the slight edge and pick them to prevail.
All right, and remember yesterday, like we talked about, South Carolina, number 1 seed, beating number 2 seed Duke 54-50 to win the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship. Congratulations to them, and congratulations to everybody there, especially Duke also, for making the final. But tonight's men's tournament game should be great. They're both number 1 seeds, and like I mentioned, they're only favored by 1.5 points. You're going to see a nail biter, it looks like, tonight. Again, I am going, last time, Thursday, I said, this is going to be the final. You guys said differently, and I said Houston's going to win because the games are in San Antonio. But I believe the winner of the 2025 NCAA tournament will be Florida. All right? Florida, and like Norm says, a slight edge. I'm going to say 69-66, something like that for Florida. And then we're gearing. This week is the close of the NBA season. The playoffs, the play-in playoffs are going to begin next week. The NHL season comes to a close. We're going to be first month done of Major League Baseball. We got the big golf tournament coming up this weekend. A lot of action in sports. And also, last night, Toronto FC took on Inter Miami and Messi. They played to a 1-1 draw. MLS is underway. CPL is underway. And the new soccer league, ladies soccer league, will begin next weekend here. Toronto does have a team. First game is going to be played at BMO Field on the 19th. Sports, you got to love this time of year, Norm. Everything is there. Great to see every sport there. And I'll throw it to you, a little footy action there. I know you religiously watch the Blues, Chelsea Blues. What do you think of that young team? They're impressive sometimes, and then sometimes they're a young team. They make mistakes.
Yeah, well, that's what young teams do. They're the youngest team by about 2 years in the Premier League. So they do have inconsistencies in their performance. They had a run of injuries like all teams do. That kind of set them back a little bit. But right now they're in fourth spot, but they have a They have a tough schedule to finish out the year. They got to play some teams like Nottingham Forest, who will be a tough opponent. They've got Manchester United on their schedule, who are desperate for points. They've got Ipswich, who had beat them earlier in their home grounds. So we'll see what happens. It's hard to predict this time of year. Everybody's got a reason to perform better. Even guys on teams that might be relegated or are going to be relegated are playing for jobs, either with their current team or with somebody else for next year. So everyone's got motivation to play well. So at this point in the schedule, there's really no easy matchups. So Chelsea, I think, have exceeded expectations by getting to fourth, but they may not finish in fourth. I hope they do, because that's a Champions League spots, or 1 through 4, maybe 1 through 5, depending on how the Premier League performs overall. Well, it's a separate discussion point, but let's say, if you get 5, you get a Europa League spot. Right now, Chelsea are in the Conference League, and they're playing a team in Poland on Thursday night. So that's a new European trophy, relatively speaking. Chelsea have won all the other European trophies. It's a bit of a rarity for them in the Premier League to have won all the European titles that have been available historically, which they have, going back to the Cup Winners' Cup. I believe it was in 1971 when they beat Real Madrid. But anyway, that goes way back in time. Overall, as a Chelsea supporter, you're right. There have been great inconsistencies in their performance. They played very well. They were in second place in December. They fell back through both inconsistency and some injury problems. And now they've been on a bit of a positive run for the last couple of weeks before and after the international break. So we'll see what happens. They could finish fourth, but they could finish lower down, like 6th or 7th. That's possible too, because there's so many teams that are situated that are only 4 or 5 points back of Chelsea. So it's quite a log jam between 7 or so and the 3rd and 4th spots in the Premier League. So there's a whole bunch of different varieties in how the teams might finish up, and that includes Chelsea. So hope for the best and keep my fingers crossed, and that's about as good as it can get.
All right, I forgot to mention this. I got to mention because it's Stormin Norman graduated from Syracuse University. Carmelo Anthony and Dwight Howard highlight the 2025 Naismith Hall of Fame class. Norm, do I have to say I know Carmelo and you are, I'm not going to say good friends, but you know him, and every time he came to Air Canada Centre at the time, now Scotiabank Arena, you guys did pleasantries because I was filming on camera there. But Carmelo and Dwight Howard, so you want to speak on that?
Yeah, well, Carmelo is an all-time great scorer. I think he's in the of NBA scoring. I think he'd be in the top 10. I think so. I could be a little bit off on that, but he was great on offense, and he played on 4 gold medal winning Olympic teams with the USA. He was a key contributor, and now his son, I believe, has signed to play for Syracuse starting next year. So that'll be exciting. But yeah, Carmelo was the main reason why Syracuse won the national title in 2003. He was there for the 1 year, a one and done, as they say. And then he got drafted by Denver before, and he spent some time with the New York Knicks as well, of course, towards the end of his career. He's a nice guy to talk to, kind of a quiet guy, Carmelo, but he's become a leader in his community. And like I say, he was a key part of 4 Olympic teams with Team USA. Good friends with the likes of LeBron James, their best friends. And
Dwayne Wade.
And Dwayne Wade and Chris Paul. I think Carmelo might have been best.
Norm was on that boat, the banana boat. Norm was on there with all those players and everything like that.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
You were on there. I remember. Anyways, also enshrined coming up September 5th and 6th is Sue Bird. and Maya Moore, another Yukon great there, and also the 2008 U.S. Olympic team. They were named the Redeem Team. Billy Donovan is going to be inducted also, so that happens in tournament weekend, September 5th and 6th. Carmelo and Dwight Howard there. Dwight Howard, for Norm said about his friend Carmelo, but Dwight Howard is the only player to win 3 consecutive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year awards. So I remember, and they had the slam dunk competition a few years back. He put on the cape. He borrowed it from me, that. He put on the Superman cake, and he basically jumped over a car. All right. And he slam dunked the ball over a car there. So it's great that enshrinement weekend, September 5th and 6th in in the NBA. So it's great to see Carmelo and Dwight Howard among the other ones to get their just due there. Okay, they're just due. Now, Norm, I'm gonna ask you here. Okay, so we talk about a cornucopia of sports. Okay, we have here a question from a fan. It's Michael Hendrickson. He wants to know, would you sign, and we talked about this, but since he asked the question, would you have signed Vlad Guerrero to a cheaper deal?
To me, it's not an issue. It's cheaper, less expensive. It's just get him signed. He sells tickets for you. Get him signed. What's the difference? Just get him signed, whatever it costs. Like I say, there's no shortage of money at Rogers Communications, so they could have signed him for $600 million instead of $500 million. Like, they could have signed him for $700 million. Like, what's the big deal? Like, where are they hurting? Yeah. And if fans don't like the ticket prices, then don't go to the games. Watch them on TV. They're all available on TV. Just don't go. I mean, I watch the games on TV when I can because I have a full-time job outside of this. And it's a very busy job. So I don't have time to watch every game. I watch some games as much as I can. And I pick and choose depending on what I think is an interesting game that night to watch. I don't go necessarily by who's playing Toronto or where Toronto's playing. I pick by whichever game I think is the most compelling. So, last night I watched Golden State and Houston. And Houston took
an amazing game with Golden State. Also, they're coming. Steph Curry's on a roll, and since they they made the trade there, Jimmy Butler and everything like that. So again, Golden State is to Lakers, even surprising Oklahoma. So we touched on every league, but the NBA playoffs are The NBA playoffs are going to be fantastic. You like that, eh? Look, I got the what they did 20 years ago. The NBA action is fantastic. Okay, now we have another question. I like these questions, so send your questions in to Norm. If you want to send me questions, you can also. But Norm, let me ask. It says, Norm, let me ask you a question. It's Harold. He doesn't say his last name. What's the difference in the media when you were on top of your game to now?
Well, now I used to be, because I was known as a homer.
I'll say it. I was
a homer, but now everybody is.
Not a homer. I'll say it since I'm I'm your wise man. Okay, shout out to Paul Heyman, WWE. All right, this guy from Syracuse University was and is the best guy in the world. On the Fan 590, he should have been credited more. He should have been on primetime sports. He should have been, I'm not going to say should have, could have, whatever. He made the careers, and he doesn't like to say it, but I'm going to say it. He made the careers, and I'm not going to mention names, but if you look through the Fan 590, Toronto's first and only all-sports station at the time, Norm Rumack, Barb DiGiulio were the staples of the Fan 590, and he made careers. And like I said, I'm not going to mention name except for one. He took a chance on this guy from North York who knows every sport, but he put him on wrestling, and we did something called Raptors Wrestling Roundtable. We did a press conference of WrestleMania 2002 with the Junkyard Dog Jerome Williams, with Tracy Murray, with Mo Pete. Mo Pete wanted to shave Norm's head. I said, no, that's his gimmick there. He wouldn't trade Wendell Clark for Sergei Fedorov at the time. Like he said, he was a Maple Leaf homer, or whatever you want to call it. He lived and died with the Maple Leafs. Then I gave him a suplex. I smacked him around, and now you could see he doesn't care about the Maple Leafs. He doesn't care about Rogers. But Norm, and I'm saying this with all due respect, if there was a broadcasting Hall of Fame here in Toronto, this guy should have his own wing. His own wing. We have guys, and you could see them on 12-Ounce Sports Network. John Nelson of OSG Sports. He's a two-time Hall of Famer. We haven't brought this guy on, but out of Tampa Bay, but maybe we should bring him on next week. Steve Carney. This guy talks baseball, basketball, football, hockey, wrestling. And Steve, I'm giving you a shout out. Next week, we're doing WrestleMania. Norm, I'm prepping him for some WrestleMania talk. He wants to have you on. Don't you want to have him on? Don't you want to have Steve Carney on?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This is thanks for the. Oh, yeah, absolutely. If I say Betty Hill, don't you want to have her on?
Of course.
Yeah. If I say Julie Hinton Green, do you want to have her on?
For sure.
All right, so see, and everybody, and I'm telling you here on the Fired Up Network, 12-Ounce Sports, which you could catch us every Monday at noon, Thursday at noon, Soccer Friday noon, with the coach of the York University men and ladies, Carmen Asako, assistant coach of Canada's men's national team. We're going to try to get some soccer players on there. Like I mentioned, the Cat Ernest Miller Show, the Cat's Corner, every Wednesday here. And we are endeavoring to get more sports here on 12-Ounce Sports Network. And you won't believe what we have coming up next week or in a couple weeks here. Why you got to check us out on the Fired Up Network, 12-Ounce Sports. But seriously, Norm Rumack should have gotten more chances at the Fan 590 prime time, anytime, because again, Norm Rumack, everybody went out of the way, and to your credit, what's he gonna say? What's he gonna say? You have people who love you, people who hate you, and like you said to me off air and everything like that, you like when people hate you, right, Norm?
Well, it's not the personally
Yeah,
that they hate.
You like when people hate you. Don't skirt around the issue.
No, in the media, love-hate. On talk radio, love-hate works because you score high in the name awareness index. That's the key to success, is scoring high in top-of-mind name awareness. So whether they love you or hate you, they're both good. It's not a personal thing. It's as an entertainer. And by the way, the guy who did primetime sports on the Fan 590, Bob McCown, is a legend, and deservedly so. So no one was going to take his spot on primetime sports.
He's known as a legend. He is known, and he is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can't have a conversation about it.
But you never got the credit you deserve. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, but I had to give him credit, and there was a lot of other good. George Stroumboulopoulos went on to a great career in entertainment, starting from the Fan 590. Right? Gord Stellick did a great job. Eric Smith did a great job with
Friedman, the Insider.
And there's Jim Richards is still successful doing radio, mainstream talk radio. So Don Landry, there's a whole list of guys who are very talented. Jim Lang at the Fan, and so there's a long list of guys who are very successful who started at the Fan. You mentioned Barbara Giulio, so she was a key part of the station. So there's a lot of talented. A lot of very talented people who worked at the Fan and put the station on the map. And, credit to them. They all played a major role.
All right. So I'm going to close it out here. You're watching Fired Up Network, Fired Up Live on 12-Ounce Sports Network. as you know, 1 month, basically a month, May 10th is Norm's 70th birthday. We're gonna have a big extravaganza or whatever. But Norm, can look at the quality and the person. Do you remember a couple of years ago who I had call you for your birthday? He's a good Jewish boy.
I think it was Goldberg, and I think at one stage maybe The Rock I spoke to.
Yes, so and we're not name dropping. Norm could tell you I know them, I talked to them and all that. But Bill Goldberg specifically, Bill Goldberg has been promised one retirement match, and he's in training right now. And I know WrestleMania is just about 10 days away. They may announce something at WrestleMania of Goldberg's retirement match. Some rumors I hear maybe in Israel or whatever. Who I don't know who his opponent's gonna be, but Goldberg's gonna have a retirement match very, very soon, and it will be announced very soon. Another shout out, and I have to do this. I know it's wrestling, but I have to do this because he's a good Canadian boy. He's my friend, Kevin Owens. And no storyline here. Kevin Owens was supposed to fight Randy Orton at WrestleMania, but Kevin Owens has been diagnosed with a serious neck injury. He needs surgery. If everything goes well, he could be, listen to this, Norm, he could be back in the ring in 5 years. So, but right now, everything's up in the air, and speedy recovery for Kevin Owens. Stone Cold Steve Austin went through the similar injury and everything like that. So for every fan, for every person who says wrestling's fake, wrestling's this, try to do it 1 o'clock, sometimes 1 p.m., sometimes 8 p.m., the same day, traveling around the world and all that, and wrestling and performing and getting booed, getting cheered and everything like that. Kevin Owens, a speedy recovery. Any last thing you want to say, Norm?
Well, yeah, I wish him a speedy recovery. I'll mention one other voice, getting back to what we were talking about earlier. Mike Hogan became another big name on the Fan 590, doing a great job covering both Canadian football and the NFL. And he's the voice of the Toronto Argonauts in the Canadian Football League. Very successful franchise, obviously winning Grey Cups. And
Mike Hogan loves the Eagles of the National
Right.
Football.
Huge fan of the Philadelphia Eagles. You're absolutely right. So he's in a good place between his Argos and his Philadelphia Eagles. So he's another big name voice. The late Chris Schultz, who played for the Argos and the Dallas Cowboys, was a big part of Football Fridays that he and Mike did. So there was a lot of talented people on the Fan 590 and a lot of talented people behind the scenes who did a lot of great work. And
Norm, you're forgetting about one guy, actually 2 guys. You mentioned him, but it was his birthday last week, Eric Smith. So happy belated birthday. But you're forgetting about one guy. All right. And we talked to him last week. I tried to get him on. We'll probably get him on next week. And that's the Spider Jones. Spider Jones.
Yeah, Spider was a key part of the Fan. He did the late night show. His show followed mine. So there's like a long list. Spider was very talented, is very talented, very entertaining, Gold Gloves boxer in his own right when he was younger. And Spider brought a lot of insights, and he called himself a lovable one. He's a lovable guy. So Spider Jones is another one. There's a lot of talented people who worked at the Fan 590.
There's one other guy you forgot, and maybe you're doing it on purpose or whatever, but he's been known for his handshake, all right? And now he's the stats guy. Well, he also does the Fan, but he's also a stats guy and for the Blue Jays. And what's his name, Norm? Roger
Lajoie, yeah, another talented guy, very prominent in junior hockey. Did work with the Oshawa Generals. I met him when he was business manager of the Toronto Marlboros. He's still doing shows on the Fan 590. So, yeah, he's another talented one. He's an official scorer for the Toronto Blue Jays in Major League Baseball. So he knows his stuff, too. So there's a lot of talented people who have worked and do work at the Fan 590 as a new generation there lately. But, yeah, I was blessed to work with a lot of very, very gifted people, that's for sure.
But your biggest claim to fame is you're doing a show with him right now on the 12-ounce sports network, Fired Up Network, and that's Joseph Pasek, a.k.a. Jolton Joe Pasek. Remember Jolton Joe? Norm, come on. The Rock's dad gave me that name.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Jolton Joe is a pretty talented guy, that's for sure, on the air and off the air. And
All right, I'll
to
give
his
you
credit,
$5 for that.
Joe's very ambitious guy. He's the reason we're on 12 ounce sports. He's the reason for the Fired Up Network. He works hard day and night and day, and he deserves a lot of success. He's a great friend, one of my best friends, probably my best friend overall. Most, I have a couple of close friends in the world, that's for sure. So I'm very blessed that way. But yeah, Joe's an incredibly 24/7 hard worker, doing his work for Fired Up and now 12 ounce sports. So deserves a lot of credit and a lot of success. And keep my fingers crossed for Joe to have more tremendous success. And he's gone through a personal tough time in his life with loss of a lot of family, and he's soldiered on through that. And so yeah, he's very resilient.
All right, don't give everybody my story, Norm. All right, hold on. Don't give everybody my story. Nobody needs to know. If you do want to know, just send me an email, Joe at FiredUp network.ca. But Norm, I owe a lot to you getting involved in the media. But like I said, you don't get the credit you deserve. I also don't get the credit I deserve. I told you about Vlad Guerrero. I'm telling you right now, I'm doing it on the air. I don't care. I shouldn't do it. And if they have a problem, come to Norm, all right? Or come to Jeff. He'll take care of it. I'm going to say it right now. Mitch Marner is going to test out free agency. Not only is he going to test out free agency, I have heard a little birdie told me he is not too happy with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I know one thing. Imagine Mitch Marner and Brady Tkachuk playing together. Imagine Mitch Marner and Cole Caulfield playing together. Or imagine going from Austin Matthews to Connor McDavid playing on the line. Mitch Marner, Connor McDavid, and some guy named Zach. Can you help me out? Zach, what's his name, Norm? I forgot his name.
Zach Hyman.
Zach Hyman, a former Toronto Maple Leaf. So look, I'm not saying he's not signing in Toronto, but I have heard a little whispers that they're not, they're not too comfortable with each other. And, I know he, got married and he loves Toronto, but Ottawa is very close to Toronto. If you look at it, Brady Tkachuk and him, Ottawa, Montreal, close to Toronto also. Edmonton, a little farther away, but you got your friend Zach Hyman and playing with arguably the best player in hockey. Speedy recovered to him. Connor McDavid, that could be interesting if you're a Toronto Maple Leaf fan. Okay, so there you go. And I'm saying this right now also. I don't believe that Bo Bichette will sign with the Blue Jays. I don't believe Bo Bichette will sign with the Blue Jays. There you go. I talked about hockey, giving you scoops, and baseball giving you scoops, especially a couple. And I told you about 2-3 weeks ago, this deal was signed. They just waited to the start of the season. And how apropos is April 7th, 1977, the Blue Jays franchise started. April 7th, 2025, they announced a 14-year deal for Vlad Guerrero worth over $500 million, $712 million Canadian. All right, Norm, I digress. Close this out. Tell everybody how they could get a hold of you here on Fired Up Network and 12 Ounce Sports.
Yeah, right here twice a week, Monday and Thursday. Check it out. We had a great guest, Tracy Murray. Joe's getting a lot of other great guests to join us, certainly for WrestleMania. And every week we talk about a variety of sports. And so whichever sports you follow, we're probably on top of it pretty thoroughly. So hopefully you'll keep joining us here on the 12 Ounce Network with the Fired Up Sports Show, both Monday and Thursday live at 12 noon, and then repeated on the network as well. So check it out. And thanks to Joe Pasek. Always love working with Joe and Jolton Joe. And we thank you for tuning us in, checking us out. We'll hope you'll do it again. So thank you so much. We appreciate your viewership.
And don't forget today, 8 p.m., soccer down here, OSG Sports, John Nelson, one of the best soccer shows in the world. every day, Monday to Friday, 8 p.m. on the 12 Ounce Sports Network. And like I said, we got the Cats show, Cats Corner Wednesdays. On Friday, we got the soccer show also with Carmen. So, and I'm trying to get more shows here on the 12 Ounce Sports Network. But till Thursday at noon, for Norm Rumack, this is Joseph Pasek bidding you adieu. That means goodbye in French, Norm. All right? That means goodbye in French. And then you could change your tank top. You could go back to sleep, but first go to Starbucks, bring me a chocolate, mocha lada, blah, 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 and take care and continue watching the 12 Ounce Sports Network.
You are watching the flagship show on the Fired Up Network. Let's all get